What is the extreme hardship requirement for provisional waivers? Two basic things have to be shown for the qualifying relative. One, we first have to show extreme hardship to the qualifying relative if he or she was to move abroad together with the beneficiary at the beneficiary's home country. And two, we have to show extreme hardship to the qualifying relative if he or she was to remain in the US separated from the beneficiary while the beneficiary is abroad. So first is together abroad, and the second is separated while the qualifying relative is in the US. As a primer, since we're showing hardship to the US citizen or LPR immediate relative, a detailed letter from him or her is a must for provisional waiver cases. The hardship to be shown is extreme hardship. So for all elements that we shall discuss, the more of these incorporated in the letter, then the better. It is not mandatory to have everything on this list. It's a subjective standard, so the more we show, the better. The first is medical conditions. Now I understand some people might not have any medical issues, but let's say there are. The worse the medical condition is for the qualifying relative, the better it is for the case. The connection between the medical condition and the need for the beneficiary to be with him or her, and the need for the qualifying relative to be in the US for treatment have to be shown. The unavailability of suitable medical abroad must also be shown. Medical documents, doctor's letters, articles on the lack of or inferiority of medical care in the beneficiary's home country are some documents to support this possible argument. Number two is family ties. If the US citizen or permanent resident relative has a lot of family ties in the US and a few or none abroad, showcase this. If the family is instrumental in their daily lives, whether it's financial or childcare or in anything, then show this too. Letters from relatives, aunts, parents, grandparents, brothers, sisters, those would help support the case too, especially if those would showcase the hardship that their US citizen or LPR relative would experience in those two situations, whether they're separated or whether he or she has to go to the home country of his or her spouse. Number three is country conditions. If there is a war or political issue, cultural issue which may affect the qualifying relative, whether it's a religious affiliation or safety issue, be sure to include these and document it through printouts of recent articles about these issues. Highlight the important parts. The immediate relative's inability to speak the language should also be mentioned. Now, these are minor factors that are assessed in extreme hardship analysis, but like I said, they combine everything and make an assessment of that to see if you meet the burden. So whatever hardships there are, put it all in. Number four is financial dependence. Also show that the qualifying relative is financially dependent on the beneficiary. Copies of food stamps, unemployment benefits, disability documents, a comparison of W-2s and pay stubs, evidence of expenses for their house, bills, debts, childcare, etc. are some documents for this possible argument. Number five is care for child. We can't show hardship to the child because the hardship is for a spouse or a parent. But having kids can strengthen the hardship argument for a qualifying relative spouse who is a parent. Copies of their birth certificates, medical records, and school records could be shown. Articles on safety issues for children abroad, pollution, kidnapping, if some are present in the home country, can also be shown through highlighted printed articles. Number six is depression and psychological findings. A simple showing of a qualifying relative missing his or her spouse is not enough. Now, if the missing part goes extreme and requires a visit to a psychologist, for example, who then has a diagnosis of clinical depression or something along those lines, then this is another piece of supporting document that could help meet the extreme hardship requirement combined with other factors. Number seven, jobs and economic factors abroad. License, skills, high unemployment abroad. the inability of the qualifying relative to get a job abroad due to language or unemployment, or maybe discrimination, or even the lack of a license for doctors or lawyers, for example, is another factor that could be used. Unemployment and a devalued currency can also be shown to emphasize that the beneficiary won't be able to support the qualifying relative while they are apart. Again, country reports, articles, news, resumes, copies of licenses, degrees, to show the line of work of each can be submitted in support of this argument. These are but a sample list of evidence that could be shown to meet the extreme hardship requirement for provisional waivers. The more you show, the harsher they are, the better. They by no means guarantee success. It's always a toss-up with waivers, as you are dependent on the officer's assessment of your evidence. If you have any questions on provisional waivers and wish your hardship factors be assessed or strengthened for the extreme hardship requirement, feel free to visit our website at www.sarmientoimmigration.com and fill out a free consultation form, or call our office at 216-573-3712 for a free consultation. This is JP Sarmiento, immigration lawyer. Thank you for listening.